AM 1230, 93.3 FM, KTRF, and time for Mark Allen's Hometown Heroes on Thief River Falls Radio. Hometown Heroes today brought to you by Phillips Iron and Metal, Oakley Quilting, Roxbury Truck Repair, and the Thief River Falls Regional Airport. And joining us today is Dave Bennett. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark.
Good to have you in.
Thank you for calling me this morning at really early in the morning.
It was early, wasn't it?
Yes.
I knew you'd be up. You're a busy man. Even though you're retired, you're pretty busy all the time, aren't you?
I like to stay busy, yes.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We want to find out a little bit about Dave Bennett. This is EMS week, and you've been with EMS a long time, so we're going to get to that in a little bit. But let's start with Dave. Where were you born and raised?
Born in southern Wisconsin on a dairy farm. Helped my dad farm for a while, and then that had to change course and action there. So eventually I started working for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service after going to college, and that took me around the country, many places, several states. Eventually getting back to Minnesota and settling into Newfoundland in January of 1988.
In 88. So you came to Newfoundland in 88.
Yes.
And where were you working with then? Which group?
When I came to Newfoundland, I worked at the Agassiz National Wildlife Refuge and eventually worked down at Rydell Refuge and Glacial Ridge National Wildlife Refuge.
Okay. And that's where you retired from, I believe,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
Right from there. That's been a couple of years back now.
5 years already.
Has it been 5 years already?
Yeah.
Wow.
I keep busy. I have a couple summer jobs I do once in a while and helped to manage some honeybees for 2 years, and that was a stinging experience, but...
Good thing you're not allergic then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you tried some other things now in retirement, it sounds like, even.
Presently I work for the Pennington County Soil and Water Conservation District for the summertime, helping them plant trees and a variety of other projects as they have need for my help. And I help my son with a mobile pressure washing business also.
Okay. Okay. Now you got into emergency services, and actually you're twofold here. You are with the ambulance service with EMS. You're also with the fire, where you were not only on the fire department, fire chief. Let's start with the fire. When did you get on the fire?
That was in June of 1988. As I say, I came to Newfoundland, and the late Stan Holmes approached me one day on the street and said, Dave, I think we need you on the fire department. So by June of that year, he convinced me to join, and since then I've put in 30 years and have retired. I retired this past June after 30 years, 8 years as chief, and I enjoyed every moment of it. I think helping our neighbor, any of our neighbors, is the core reason why anybody joins either fire department or EMS, especially on our volunteer service departments. And
now you saw changes too, didn't you? I mean,
absolutely.
A lot of good things, a lot of good equipment and things changed in the fire, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the most frustrating thing I saw was I didn't realize as a volunteer fire department, we have to go fundraise for our monies for all that stuff. And I just assumed it came as part of the department and different services would provide those equipment, but you have to actually fundraise to get all that stuff in your fire department. So
you were busy fundraising a lot.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. But you were able to fundraise for some good things, and people are always so giving, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And there's always new inventive things coming in fire prevention and fire fighting, and a lot of it's involved around safety and obviously, we want to have all the best safety equipment we can for folks going into fires.
What was the best thing about being on the fire department? Was it the helping of the people that you talk about?
Absolutely, helping your neighbor, being able to respond to a need, and just the camaraderie with other folks that want to do that sort of thing.
And your department, on average, has what? Anything from 20 to 25 people, somewhere in there, roughly, or?
Oh, it's
more than
lower than that. It's
lower than that now?
Probably 12 to 20 at best. But you usually have a core group that responds all the time, and as long as they show up, you're doing very well at your fires. But, in local communities, we have the mutual aid with other towns, and that's really the core of all of our are responding to whatever incidents it is. I mean, you have to depend on other towns to help you, either whether it's EMS or with fire, and that I think that really bonds the local communities together. I mean, we know each other. Mark, you and I have been on calls before with EMS, and it's just second nature to work with you or anybody else within our area, because I know them, we see them, we work together, and we're there for a common cause.
And you train with them at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Dave Bennett is our guest. We're going to talk a little bit about his EMS work, too. He's with the ambulance service up there. We're going to get to that in a moment. I want to remind you, Thief River Falls Regional Airport is here with hassle-free security and free parking, so be sure to check out the benefits of flying local. Thief River Falls Regional Airport, your front door to the rest of the world. Roxbury Truck Repair, truck and trailer maintenance and repair. It's Roxbury Truck Repair. Quilting, yes, it's Oakley Quilting Supply for all of the quilting things you need, from Henry Glass, quilting treasures, and many more. And they're adding new fabrics all the time as well. Oakley Quilting Supply. All of your quilting needs. Stop by Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Oakley Quilting Supply. And also Phillips Iron and Metal. They accept all ferrous and non-ferrous metals, including, but not limited to, stainless steel, copper, brass, aluminum, lead, insulated wire, nickel, high-temp alloys, precious metals, etc. Whether you bring the materials to us or we bring us to you, we provide quality service at competitive pricing. It's Phillips Iron and Metal. Dave Bennett is our guest on Hometown Heroes today. Let's talk about EMS. It's National EMS Week. It's a chance to honor all of those that have put their time and efforts into the emergency services. Now, you, of course, have been on there for quite a while, and you're still on there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, 30 years with the fire department, retired, but about 20 years with EMS. I don't exactly remember the year or date I became a EMT, but it's been 20 years plus. Again, the call is there because I feel a need to help my neighbor when there's a need there, and a lot of folks will say, "Well, doesn't it take a lot of training and that sort of thing?" But when you're called to come to a situation, you want to be able to do the best you can with whatever is presented before you. And so you need to be trained in order to respond to someone that's hurt or someone that doesn't feel well, or there's a house burning down or a car accident or whatever it might be. You want to be able to go there knowing that you're well trained and you're equipped with what you need to help that person. Because that's our goal is to help someone out of that situation and get them back on their feet again.
What are some of the toughest ones you would come to in an ambulance call? What are some of the ambulance calls you go, oh, this is going to be tough?
Well, it's always when there's multiple victims at a scene, and sometimes it takes a while for everybody to get there, and so you might show up and you've got 3 or 4 different people that are there that are sick or hurt from an accident, and you have to decide very quickly, who do you want to help first, or who do you want to dedicate your time to until the rest of the resources get there? So the toughness is, do I go to patient A or patient B?
How about with kids? When kids get involved,
are always tough.
Yeah, it is.
Because everybody's has their own, and you just feel for their need, and you want to be able to do what you can to help them.
How about services? That's changed over the years too, hasn't it? I mean, for the most part, you're getting better equipment, better things, aren't you?
Well, when I first started with Newfoundland for the squad there, we didn't have an ambulance. We just responded.
That's right, yeah.
We just responded in our personal vehicles, and then Middle River would show up with their ambulance for transport. And so you were zooming to a scene, with a bag in your hand and your own car, and even radio systems have gotten better. But yeah, it's nice to have an ambulance there in Newfoundland now. We can actually transport. You can say, well, you could wait for Middle River or Carlston, another unit, but I can get that patient to the hospital 20 minutes quicker. So that's a good thing.
Seems like another one that is so tough, and this seems to be with all departments, is just number of people, right?
Absolutely.
Getting enough people to actually be on the service, isn't it?
Yeah, and if I had a message today, it would be just look into your own heart and your mind and ask, would you have some time to be on an ambulance service or a fire department? It's a good feeling when you go home at night after a call to to know you did the best you could to help somebody out of a bad situation.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. When things go good and in the end somebody was saved or something really was good, it is an ultimate high. It is a really good feeling.
Yeah.
At the same time, it can really be crushing when things go bad, can it?
Well, even in a good scene, I tend not to sleep for the next 2 hours after I get home because
of course
you go through every step in your mind.
What could I have done differently?
What could I have done differently? Or did I do the best I could? But I think that in my mind, that's how I process the night and then preparing for the next one.
So if you had some advice to give to people that were maybe teetering on the edge of thinking, should I join a service? Should I get involved with EMS? What would you tell them?
Well, give it a try. Call your local ambulance service, fire department. Ask them how can I join? Tell me more about your particular ambulance service or fire department. It all boils down to within your own mind. And I believe the core of everyone is wanting to help your neighbor. Mm-hmm. I mean, who would walk by someone that's sick or hurt? You wouldn't do that. Everybody does that. So why not volunteer to do that for your community and then get training to know that you're doing it the best you can.
All right. Well, Dave, thanks for all of your service. I appreciate it with both the fire and the ambulance, and continue to the ambulance because certainly they need you in that area. Thank you for all your years of service. We appreciate it. And next on the docket for Dave Bennett is what? Do you have other plans to stay busy, or just
I'm always busy.
Staying busy?
Stay busy. Yeah, I've got a couple of great granddaughters that keep me busy, and I do a lot with the church now. Some with the food shelf. Yeah. Volunteer out there a little bit. So when I get up in the morning, I don't sit down until I go to bed at night. So,
and that's good. It'll keep you going, won't it?
Yes, it does.
All right, Dave, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Dave Bennett, our guest today on Hometown Heroes, brought to you by Phillips Iron and Metal, Oakley Quilting, by Roxbury Truck Repair, and by the Thief River Falls Regional Airport.